Hello, hello, and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube live video. And I'm just double checking that I have everything set up and running right here, and that I'm live out where I would like to be, which hopefully I am. So let me see. Of course, it's taking a second on my computer to get everything set up, so hopefully I'm live and good to go. All right, yep, I see that I am. So, okay, cool. I have it now set up so that I can hopefully see your comments and see if you are joining in out there. So feel free to stop in and say hello, and I appreciate it if you are joining live, and if you want to watch the replay, that is awesome as well. So today I'm going to show you really quickly how I made this cute little card with the Full of Happiness stamp set, which is a stamp set that is in the January to June 2020 mini catalog from Stampin' Up. And like I said, it's just a fun little, cute little stamp set. Good one for Easter, and you know, just kind of generally a fun little friend card. So I'm going to show you. I did get a little carried away on the stamp sets that I used. I will be honest. I sort of got I got out there and started stamping, and then realized that I used like 5 different stamp sets on this. And it's a pretty simple little card. So somehow I ended up using 5 stamp sets on it. So again, I started with the Full of Happiness stamp set, which this is from the mini catalog. And it's got the cute little chick images in it, and the egg, and some nice little sentiments for Easter and spring and that sort of thing. And I will say that in the catalog that the chick looks sort of like a zombie chick. It's a little creepy looking in the catalog because it doesn't have a face on it. But I think you'll agree that once you actually stamp it and, you know, put the face on it, that it's a much cuter image once you get it stamped and put the little face on it. So that is one of the stamp sets that we are using today. And I have so much stuff piled up over here. The next one we're going to be using is the Thoughtful Blooms stamp set, and this is a celebration item. So this is something that you can earn for free with an order of $50 or greater through the end of March. So if you are interested in that and have questions about celebration, let me know. Hey, Mary, thanks for hopping on. Glad that you found me, and starting to think I was maybe out here by myself again. So, all right, so got the Thoughtful Bloom stamp set that I used for the little flower on here, and this is a celebration item that you can earn with an order of $50 or greater during celebration. And then coordinating with that is actually the Small Bloom Punch, and this is also a celebration item that is available with an order of $100 or greater during celebration. This punch, Stampin' Up! Has told us, will be in the next annual catalog, so if this is something that you love, you will be able to purchase it starting the next annual catalog, but that's several months away, so definitely would recommend getting it for free with an order of $100 or greater. The next stamp set well, actually 3 stamp sets that I used for the sentiments, because I wanted it to say something kind of cute, and I couldn't come up with everything all in one stamp set, so I got a little carried away. And we used the Timeless Tulips for the hello, which again, this is a stamp set that is from the mini catalog. Then we've got the Sweet Friend from the Welcome Easter stamp set, which is another cute one for spring and Easter and baby cards and all that sort of thing. That is in the mini catalog. And then I used the You're the Best sentiment from the Thanks for the Laughs stamp set, which is also another really good one and a fun one that is in the mini catalog. So that is where all the sentiments came from on here. I used a couple of dies as well, which again, I'm just like, how did I use so much stuff on such a little simple card? But I did. So I have the Stitched Nested Labels dies, and I use that to cut out the little chick, and it's actually the largest of the dies, and I'll show you a real easy trick that I used for kind of trimming this down and making the die cut a little bit smaller, more the size that I wanted it. And then I used the Dino dies, which this is a die set from the annual catalog, and it coordinates with a really cute little dinosaur stamp set. So I was happy to see that Stampin' Up! Made the little chick egg that it coordinates with this die set. So now you actually have another reason to buy this set if you don't have it already. Hey, Patricia, thanks for hopping in today. And then the final die set that I used, and I swear this is all, I used the narrowest of the rectangles from the Stitched Rectangles die, and that's what I used for the sentiments on here. So let me set the little card aside, and we will get going on this. So hopefully I won't spill on it. And thanks again for joining today. I appreciate that you guys are out here hanging out on a Friday afternoon with me. Well, it's afternoon here. I guess I don't know for sure what time it is where you are. So I do have my sample card I actually made with, this is Subtle's 6 6x6 designer series paper, and it's a stack of paper. And I used the gingham print on this card, and I actually switched it up, and I'm using this, I don't even know what image it is. It's just another print from that same catalog or same pack of paper. It's mint macaron, and it is cut to 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and I'm adhering it to a panel of mint macaron cardstock that is cut to 3 3/4 by 5. And again, all the cardstock cuts and everything will be out on my blog post tomorrow, so no need to worry about it, and I will probably mess up and say the wrong things anyway, but don't need to worry about writing those down. So just adhering that together with a little bit of snail. I'm going to set that aside for a second while we work on the little chick. So I went ahead and pre-cut this again with the largest of the stitched nested labels dies, and we're going to stamp the little chick on here in pineapple punch ink for the chick body. Which you can use almost any yellow, so definitely some there, you know, you can use Daffodil Delight or So Saffron or Crushed Curry, whatever it is that you like, whatever your favorite color of yellow is. And when I stamped it, I actually wanted it to be a little bit more to the left of center, and I'll show you when we go to put the little egg around the chick. You'll definitely want him to be slid over a little bit. Otherwise, it looks like he's all off center and crazy looking. All right, so we've got the chick stamped. The next thing that I'm going to do is stamp, get this out of the way before I stick my fingers in it, in Grapefruit Grove ink. This is the little beak for the chick. And it's a little hard, it's a little strange when you look at this stamp set to try to figure out which direction some of these images go. But there's a little slit, and you'll see when it's stamped, that goes down and to the right, if that makes sense, when you're stamping it. All right, so we got the little chick beak on there. And then we're going to put the little eyes on it, and those are stamped in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And one other little tip on stamping with this set, the eyes on the chick, the larger eye, you can see there's one that's a little bit larger, one that's a little bit smaller. The larger eye goes to the right. So I've got to get these hopefully lined up fairly straight. Main thing is to get them on the chick, which, yep, yay, I think I did, and I think I even got them somewhat straight. So, all right, so we've got our little chick stamped on here. Now I'm going to take my die, and I'm going to show you quickly how I do this to trim it down. I'm going to take the largest die, which again, I've already done the initial die cut with it. And then I'm going to take it and place it over the top of the chick and sort of figure out how big I want it to be. And then I'm sliding it just a little bit on the back until I get it to catch where the little dots are, the little stitch marks are. So I'm just going to slide it until I can get it to slide into that groove. So it's basically in the same spot. Just slid up about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or so. And then I'm going to put it down on my platform and straighten it out. And then when I run it through my die cutting machine, I'm going to run it through, but I'm only going to run it through to about right here, and then I'm going to back it back out so that it doesn't roll all the way over and cut this edge straight again. I don't want the extra dots up here. I just want it trimmed off at the bottom. So all I need to do is roll it about this far through, back it out, and then we will have a trimmed down die cut. So let me go do that quickly. Hopefully, I know it shakes the table, so I apologize. So let me bring it back over, and I'll show you the pieces that I just cut. So this is the trimmed off piece, which leaves actually kind of a cool little chevron. It's got the stitched edges around it. So if that's something that you like and can use it in some other design, you can certainly keep it. I tossed mine, but that's just how I roll. So all right, so we got the little chick cut down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the egg. And again, when I stamped it initially, I used the Tuxedo Black around the egg, and I feel like that's almost a little bit too stark, so I thought we might try. He's alive. Yes, he is. See, you put a little eyes and a beak on him, and he comes right to life instead of looking zombie-ish. So it's a cute little image. So I'm going to use actually basic gray instead of the black on it and see if I like the look of that a little bit better, so it's not quite so stark of a contrast between the two colors. Since we're using a light purple, when you use the black with it, it's a lot of contrast. So I sort of thought I might like it a little better if we use basic gray. Just going to stamp that and close that ink pad up before I stick my fingers in it. And then we're using Highland Heather to stamp the stripes on the egg. And because I used so darn many images, I had to pretty much pull out all of my blocks in order to be able to get them on, to be able to do the video for you. So, all right, so I'm going to line those up. And how I looked at it first was I kind of lined it up at the top with the little V's at the top. Is it V's? Yeah, I think it's V's at the top of the egg. The little mountains at the top of the egg. Tried to get those lined up. And then lined up the bottom, stamped it down. And actually, I think I even got it all inside the egg, which is a nice bonus. So I'll close up that ink pad, and then I'm going to pull out the Dino dies, and I'm going to take this one in particular because it coordinates with it, and put it right over the top and run it through the die cutting machine. So I'm going to wheel over here for a second. Hopefully y'all are enjoying your Friday. It's kind of a nice day up here. The sun's out, you know, no rain. I know you guys are like swimming in Atlanta, so hopefully the rain settles down for you soon. But up here it's been cool, but it's definitely been nice. We haven't had snow or are they W's? Yeah, they're probably W's might be a better thing other than a a mountain or a upside down V or whatever crazy thing I was trying to say. So, all right, so there we've got our little half egg all cut out and ready to go. So I'm going to set that aside for a second while we work on stamping the flower image. And again, that's from the Thoughtful Blooms stamp set, which is from Celebration. And whoop, almost lost track of my ink pads already. So we're going to use a little bit of Grapefruit Grove to stamp that flower image in. I'm going to ink up the solid part of the flower first. You'll notice when I'm stamping it, I'm putting the two of the petals down, and the reason that I do that, I'll show you in just one second. Not raining right now, getting a break until Monday. Oh, but then it's going to be cold. So, yeah, see, you guys are harassing me about the New Jersey weather. I'm telling you, it's no better in Atlanta. So when I stamped it, you'll notice I put the two petals down, and the reason that I did that is because that's the way the punch works. If you turn and had stamped it with one petal down, then you have to try to kind of turn and maneuver your punch. If you make sure you have two petals down, then you could just slide the punch right on the paper and punch it out and have no issues with that. So now I'm going to take the little flower. Again, this is from the Thoughtful Blooms stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp it right over the top and hopefully straight on the first flower, which I think I did it. So, all right, so we got that. And again, that's Grapefruit Grove ink that I used on that one. And then I'm just going to take the little punch, the small bloom punch, which again is a Celebration item, line it up in here, and hopefully punch it out. All right, there we go. So I will set that aside here. So at least no shoveling snow or hiring someone to shovel snow. Yeah, that's true. Although we really haven't had much of that here. So at least so far, I should start knocking on everything wooden. If it wouldn't shake the table, I would. So it is a good stamp set and punch. I mean, it's really nice, and I love that it's all coordinating pieces and works really well together. So it's very cute. So all right, so we're going to start adhering a few things down. I've got, this is the die cut that we did earlier with a little chick on it. And I'm going to center this, hopefully. I think I told you the wrong measurements on this. I did. See, this is why you got to go watch my blog and not listen to what I say in the videos for the sizes, because this is not cut down to that. It's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 and 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I don't know what I was thinking earlier when I was telling you that it was trimmed down, because it is not. So the way that I got it centered and made sure the little chick was in the center of the card when I was done with it was basically just lined it up so that the center of the card was here, and then put the little point pointing at the center, and then the point pointing at the center down here. So that helped me to get everything lined up on my grid paper. Makes it much easier. All right, so we have got the little chick glued down on the card front. We're going to add the egg here. Make sure I didn't get any snail on the edge. And when I know I talked about earlier that you wanted the chick to be slid over a little bit, and here's the reason why. Because when you put the little egg under there, he looks all crooked, and the egg would have been all lopsided if I had stamped the chick so that its head was more in the center of the project. So that's sort of why I did it lopsided, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Because the first time I stamped him, I did stamp him the wrong way, and then I had to restamp him. So, all right. Next up, we have got a couple of sentiments that we're going to be, quite a few sentiments that we are going to be stamping here. And I heat embossed those. So we're going to get out some Versamark ink. and start pulling the sentiments if I can find them all. Again, the hello is from the Timeless Tulip stamp set. We are going to ink that in Versamark ink on the little yellow piece of paper that I have, this yellow pineapple punch piece of paper that I have actually previously cut with the stitched rectangles dies. So sorry, talking and stamping straight are two things that I have a hard time doing at the same time. All right, so I think we got that one on there. Set that up there for a second. And then we've got the Sweet Friend, which is going to be stamped on the Highland Heather cardstock. That again I've pre-cut with the stitched rectangle dies. And I'm going to stamp that, hopefully straight and in the center. All right, set that aside for a second, and then we've got the You're the Best stamp set, or image from the Thanks for the Laugh stamp sets, and I am stamping that on a little piece of Grapefruit Grove cardstock that I've pre-cut with the stitched rectangle die. All right, so I'm going to set the Versamark aside and get out the white Stampin' embossing powder. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on each sentiment, and then we're going to do a little heat embossing here in a second. All right. And again, don't forget Celebration is going on, so be sure that you're getting your orders put in. So you're getting your free stuff from Stampin' Up, which is a nice little benefit. I'm using a couple of the colors that are in colors on this one. The Grapefruit Grove and Pineapple Punch are in colors, and those will likely be retiring at the end of the catalog this year. So right now is a very good time to pick those up and get stocked up on your inks and your cardstocks. And ink refills are very important, so make sure you're getting all those things now during Celebration while they're guaranteed to be in stock. And then you'll be all set once the retiring list gets announced in April. All right, so I'm going to turn on the heat tool, and it's going to be loud for a couple seconds while I start heat embossing these. All right. Whoop. Trying not to burn my little fingers. And I know there's clothespins and all sorts of things, but you know, I guess I just prefer to try not to burn my fingers and move them around on here rather than using the clothespins and the things I should be using so I don't burn my fingers. Whoop, I'm chasing the paper around too. Heat embossing the sentiments quick. Switch it around here, do the other half. All right, I think we are done with that. Hey Jenny, thanks for hopping in from Texas. So visiting in South Texas, and it's cold today in Texas. Goodness, what in the world's going on? Like I said, it's kind of a nice day in New Jersey. I can't complain at all. So, all right, so we're going to start putting the sentiments on. You do want to, when you heat emboss, give it just a second to make sure that the images are good and dry. Otherwise, you will end up with kind of a mess, and you'll smudge the sentiments. Again, not that I have ever done that, but you will. Just trust me on that. You don't want to be handling the sentiments right away when you're doing this type of a heat embossing. Otherwise, you will end up smudging them. I can guarantee you that. So just using a little bit of snail to adhere these on. Sort of, I don't know, layered off-centered kind of look to it. All right, a little bit more snail on the back of this one. Whoop. Somehow I end up, I don't know, I'm having a terrible time trying to drive with snail lately. I keep going off the cardstock and making a mess. All right, then we're going to adhere on our little flower that we had done earlier with a Stampin' Dimensional. So we'll stick that on here on the card front. Over here next to our hello sentiment. All right, final thing we're going to add on before we adhere this on to the actual card base is a couple of rhinestones. I just stuck them around the sentiments. And again, you can add these in wherever you like them. Whoop, I just shot that one right off the page. So, all right. Finally, what did I do? I don't know. I already forgot what I said. It must have been something that I screwed something up. I don't know. So, all right, so there we go. We got the rhinestones on the front. Then we're just going to adhere this onto a mint macaron card base with a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. Or are you saying finally because I'm finally pulling out the Stampin' Dimensionals? Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. So, yeah, no worries. I'm sort of like you in that I don't know that there's really a card that I've ever made. Well, I can't say that because I think there have been one or two that I've ever made with no Stampin' Dimensionals. But no worries. There are plenty of them on here. So, and they're the half dimensionals, which I know Mary loves. So I have to give her a hard time. So, all right, got that, and we're just going to adhere this onto the card front. And I did get asked the other day, somebody was watching one of my videos and asked me later why it is that I put my cards together with the card base flat rather than folded. And it is definitely my personal preference. I know almost everybody else folds them in half and adheres things together. But I'll show you in 1 second once I get the inside put together, why I prefer to do it with the card base flat. So for the inside of the card, just using a little bit of the trimmed off 6x6 Subtles Designer Series paper. And we're just going to adhere that to the bottom of a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then we'll do a little bit of snail on the back. And we'll adhere it to the inside, and I'll show you real quickly why it is that I put my cards together flat. So, all right, there you go. All right, so when I close this up, I'm going to use the bone folder and put the crease on it. The reason that I do mine flat is just because when I fold the cardstock, I find that I'm sitting here trying to get the card to lay out flat and just be still, and it's flopping around, and I'm having a hard time with it. So that's basically why I do my cards flat first, and fold them is always the very, very last thing that I do. It's just because it's easier for me to put them together this way. They're not, the card base isn't, flipping open, and I'm not trying to hold it down while I'm trying to adhere something on straight. So that is just my personal preference and my little tip for when I put cards together is I usually do start with a flat card base, unless for some reason I absolutely can't, if it's a fun fold or something like that where it has to be folded a certain way. But that's why I do it. So, all right, so that is it for my card share today. So hopefully you like them. There's the little chickies on both cards. Again, this is a stamp set that is in the mini catalog called the Full of Happiness stamp set. It's a cute little chick, and then several other sentiment stamps on there, and the little flower stamp from the Thoughtful Blooms from Celebration. So that's it. So Mary says I have the liner on the back upside down if you tried that. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say I've never done that, but usually that's not an issue for me. The issue is that I can't adhere anything on straight when the card base is popping up, and then I end up with things all crooked, and then I'm not happy with that either. So that's, again, we all have our own way to do it, but that's why I put them together that way. So, all right, well, thank you all for joining me today. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will plan to see you on Facebook Live on Tuesday, and then back out here on YouTube Live again next week Friday around 1 o'clock Eastern time. So thanks again for popping in and saying hello, and thanks for watching, and we will chat with you all soon.